the use of technology to ensure efficient and transparent disbursements despite challenges in reaching a largely non-tech savvy target audience. Collaborations with relevant stakeholders are underway to ensure a smooth rollout of the program. The announcement comes at a critical time when many government agencies have lamented poor capital spending in the previous year. If approved, the 1 billion naira grant could provide the much-needed boost to Nigeria's struggling MSMEs, a sector that contributes significantly to the nation's GDP. This bold step by Smithon is poised to empower entrepreneurs, drive economic growth, and position MSMEs as a cornerstone of Nigeria's recovery and development. And to further broaden this conversation, let's bring in the Director General and Chief Executive Officer of Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, Charles Odi. It's good to have you on the program this morning. You're welcome to our studio.
Thank you.
Well, let's begin. A recent report reveals that the organized private sector loses about 2.5 trillion naira to administrative bottlenecks. You, on your part, you are saying you're working with the relevant agencies and levels of government to streamline these processes and create a more supportive environment. How are you doing this, and when are all these hurdles to ease of doing business going to be eliminated?
Thank you again for having me this morning. So one of the things that we've begun to do, and actually chaired by His Excellency the Vice President, is the Nigerian MSME Council. Okay. So the Nigerian MSME Council at the different state level cascades to all the states. At the different levels of the states, there are the state councils of SMEs, chaired by the different governors, and at the federal level is chaired by His Excellency the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima. We as Smithon act as the Secretariat. Right now, if a small business has a problem in any of the states, the first point of call is their business member organization or their cooperatives. If the problem can be solved at that level, then it goes to the State Council of SMEs, that's chaired by the different excellencies, the governors. And if that can be solved, then it's brought to us at the Secretariat. If we can't solve it, we take it to His Excellency the Vice President. If the Vice President cannot solve that SME problem, it goes to the President. I often joke that if the President cannot solve it, we should take the problem to God. But there's no problem right now in the country that cannot be solved by His Excellency's administration. And what we've begun to do in the different states, we've started something called a one-stop shop. So as a small business owner, let's say you've come out of school today, you want to start. The first place to start is Smithon. From there, we point you to CAC. If you want to export, we point you to NEPC. If you want investment, we point you to NIPC. If you want to know how to get your goods out of the country, we have a custom desk in our different states. So what this does is that at every point in time in the different states, we're helping our small businesses with the right guidance that they need, the right resources they need, the right opportunities they need, and we're supporting their workforce. So much so that they don't spend time with one government agency trying to get one license. What we do is we step in if that problem has not been solved or has not been rectified in a matter of days. So in 3-4 days, if you're trying to get a license, if you're trying to register a business with CAC, in 48 hours that should be done. If that's not done, we step in to say, please, Registrar General, these small businesses are trying to get registered. How can we formalize them? Beyond formalizing them, how can we help them get funded? We've started to negotiate at the different state levels with different state governments to the tune of 1 billion naira for SMEs in their states. So in Katsina, for instance, where we shook hands with His Excellency, the governor of the state, small businesses in Katsina can access funding for equipment, to add to their working capital, and to procure workspaces in their states. So you don't even have to come from that state. As long as you're doing business in the states, you can get funding from that state to grow your enterprises. So what we're doing right now is we're reducing the regulatory hurdle, and we're also increasing productivity by giving access to finance, democratizing access. In one word, democratizing access, reducing the barrier to getting the financing, and administrating the financing in the different states.
That's a commendable, laudable initiative there. But also, if you look at the practicals, you tend to ask that you have a lot of small businesses, whether it is the small businesses that are heavily challenged, probably by some policies of government and the economic environment. Now, between the last survey you, Smithon, had was, I think, 2023. The next one will be 2026. Between that time and 2026. What exactly, in practical terms, do you intend to put in place to move a huge number of these small businesses, micro businesses to the small?
Yeah, you're spot on. At our last count, we had 39,665,384 MSMEs. All these 39 million, approximately 40 million, contribute to Nigeria's 50% in terms of GDP. Now, we've further gone to break down these businesses. So we have the nano, we have the micro, we have the small, and we have the medium. So if anyone is watching TVC Breakfast today, they can know where they operate. For the nano businesses, these are businesses that have less than 3 employees and are doing an annual turnover of less than 3 million. So these are the mom and pop shops, the laundry businesses, the people we call abuki, that have kiosks who are helping us with a lot of our needs. The next is the micro. These are businesses that have between 3 to 10 and are generating not more than 25 million naira. The next is the small businesses. These are businesses that have between 10 to 50 employees, but not generating more than 100 million naira every year. Then the medium are businesses that have less than 200 employees, so between 50 to 200, and not generating more than 1 billion. We're going to review this this year, but as our last count, that's where we are. And the guys, the nano businesses, the ones that have that generate less than 3 million and have less than 3 employees, constitute 96% of all the businesses. So there are about 38 million of them out of the 39,654,384. And this, if you further break down their revenue, it means that every month they're generating like 250,000 naira. What His Excellency has done, His Excellency the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, upon coming to office, he had marked 200 billion naira for MSMEs. So he has said, listen, these guys, the nano guys, I'm going to give them 50 billion naira in terms of grants. Okay. So free money, you don't have to pay back. So imagine that you're earning 5 billion. Let's say TVC is paying you 5 million naira every month, and somebody comes and says, I'm going to give you an additional 1 million. Because these guys are generating, if you look at the numbers, they're generating approximately 250,000. So His Excellency has said, well, 1 million of them across the 36 states and the FCT, we're going to give them 50,000 naira each to add to their working capital. They don't have to pay back this money. So what do we do? Because this is an administration also where the son of a nobody can become somebody without knowing anybody. You don't have to know me as Director General. All you need to do is be registered as SMEDA. And then we go on our platform, our database, and then we now look at the businesses that actually qualify, who are these businesses that are doing less than 3 million every year and have less than 3 employees. So upon registration with us as SMEDA, which is absolutely free, we then start the disbursement. Of course, many of them are not tech savvy, so they might not have the opportunity to go online and register. In that case, we work with our cooperatives. We're always saying to our small businesses, we can't reach you one-to-one. At least if you can't reach you one-to-one, we can reach your cooperative. We can reach your BMO. We can reach your society. So be registered with a society. You can't even do it alone. Many of the information that you get as a small business owner, especially in the rural areas, in the nooks and crannies, Potiskum local government, for instance, in Okigwe local government, for instance, we can't be there as an agency, but we can work with the cooperatives there. And we can give them a lot of guidance, a lot of resources, a lot of opportunities. We can support the workforce with that cooperative. And so in that case, we work with the cooperative. Many times we give the cooperative even grants to go and run institutions, run their cooperatives. 70% of the money is a loan, 30% is a grant through one of our innovative programs. And these are the ways that we are helping. Excluding His Excellency's grant, which is 50 billion for that sector, we've gone again to negotiate another 12 billion naira for grants for these small businesses.
Quite an eye-opener, but we'll still discuss more on that. We'll take this quick commercial. Grab your coffee. We'll be right back. Glad to have you back. We're still live in our Abuja studio, and we are with Charles Odi, the DG of SMEDA. Now, let's talk specifically about the innovation and global competitiveness and the place of Nigerian MSMEs in the global market. Most Nigerian products and services are consumed locally and are rarely exported, despite having the required standards that can compete favorably with other, global products.
So we have something called the AFCFTA right now, which is Africa's the biggest marketplace. So right now we can export to pretty much all the African countries that have accepted to AFCFTA at 0 tariffs, and then we can actually export in naira and get paid in naira, right, without looking for dollars. I think it's a phenomenal agreement within the African continent, if you ask me. One of the things that we're doing, and we understand that some of our products do not actually get exported because we have to meet some required standards. we're now helping with our small businesses to standardize their products. Okay. We've set up an innovative center for our small businesses here in Abuja, and we've begun to scale it up to other parts of the country. What this means is that our small businesses who want to export, either fashion or textile, like what I'm wearing, made in Nigeria, right? They can come into our Smedan complex. They don't bother about the sewing machine. They don't bother about power. They don't bother about maintaining the machine. All this is provided in our complex, in our industrial development centers. And they come there, they come with their materials, they sew, we can help them to warehouse, and then we've signed innovative contracts where they can distribute locally. So with NIPOST, 15%, with God is Good Logistics, 20%. So what this does is that this is taking away from the burden on doing business in Nigeria. But we understand that these are perilous times because we need to go through the tunnel to get to the light, right? But in going through the tunnel, we're not forgetting our small businesses, and the administration is not forgetting the small business. We're putting up this kind of innovation where we're helping to increase productivity, but also driving down the cost of doing business. So a small business in Wuse2 or Kuje or Gwagwalada, all he needs to do is just to come and get a single-digit interest loan or get the grants. You get 50,000 naira. You go to Kuje Market, you buy materials, you come to Smedan, you just book a machine. You can book the machine for 12 hours. You sew, you cut, you pattern, you do the embroidery, and then you can take your product and go and sell to your family and friends, or sell in the market if you have an opportunity. Okay. So these are ways that we're helping to make sure that even the products that are coming out of Nigeria, the standards are reaching global best practices in terms of packaging, in terms of production, to make sure that we can actually compete with our colleagues in the global market. Nigeria is very, 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 very big. These 39 million businesses, if we can get 1 million of them to be exporting by 2027, the impact on our economy will be phenomenal. But what do we need to do as an agency, development agency for these small businesses, is to go in there, train them. So we're training month in, month out, training on global best practices, training on innovation, training on the best ways to make sure that your product is not rejected at the ports. We have a phenomenal handshake with Nigerian Customs Service to make sure that some of our small businesses, they can actually export within hours. So they don't have to spend time through our AEO program. They don't have to spend time at the port. When their business products get there, within hours, it's gone and it's gone to wherever the destination is. So those are some of the things that we're making sure to do to make sure that our small businesses are competitive, making sure that we support them to compete with their counterparts in Africa and in developed other countries.
Okay, the things you've just talked about, are they the interventions also? Because I guess you also have this intervention in agriculture, in education, and some other critical sector. But also, is there any conflict between the Smedan and something like the NDE? The NDE. Is there any conflict in your responsibility?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nigeria, I think there's this focus on employment.
Okay.
We are the guys who are focused on the development of the MSME ecosystem. That sector that focuses on just approximately 40 million SMEs that are contributing to 50% of Nigeria's GDP. We want them to contribute to more. What we're doing is we are hand-holding them, in many cases formalizing them. NDE might not be very much informed with the formalization of the small businesses. We are in the nooks and crannies of Nigeria, meeting them in their cooperatives, meeting them individually, giving them the global best practices, giving them all the trainings that they need, giving them all the support, all the guidance, giving them all the resources, financial and non-financial, exposing them to all the opportunities, and then supporting their workforce to make sure that as small businesses, they can actually stay much longer. Because if you look at some disturbing statistics, that many of them die within the first 5 years of operations. Yeah. All the reasons why they die, we're addressing them. Power issue, you don't bother with power anymore if you're in the fashion sector, in the woodwork sector, in the cobbling sector. You just come into a Smedan office. You come there, all the resources are made available to you. You book a machine and you can use it. Resources, you don't need to crack your brain anymore. We provided financial resources, non-financial resources, all the guidance, the steps, the pros, the cons to run a business in Nigeria. All these are provided. And with NDE, CAC, NEPC, NIPC, these are sister agencies. We don't, there's a fine line between what everyone is doing. So at the point of registration for us, a small business, you can exist in society right now, but society does not know you. You don't have BVN, NIN, driver's license, international passport. Society does not know you. For society to know you have to register. At registration for business is CAC. But we are also formalizing these businesses. They register with us. So when they register with us, we understand our peculiarities. Then we can go to say, CAC, okay, give us a discount for these businesses. We shake hands with them. We will now register them in CAC. Even though they are doing businesses, many of them are not registered with CAC, they register with us, and then we get them to be registered with CAC. So those are the kind of fine lines, handshakes that we do with our sister government agencies to make sure that everyone understands the role that they're playing to help into the development of SMEs.
Well, the tax reform bills, which is currently at the front burner, is at the National Assembly, and it's will soon be considered for public hearing, possibly after the consideration of the budget. Tell us how far-reaching are these reforms to impact the MSME sector that has already contributed 46% to the nation's GDP.
Thank you so much. So the tax reform bill, firstly, I want to thank everyone that's worked on that bill. Before then, we had some consultations, and then what we're doing right now is to actually advise our small businesses across 36 states and the FCT on the impact of that bill. What that bill simply does is that it eradicates all the nuisance taxes. If you ask a small business owner today, somebody is taxing them for the water that leaves their business, their restaurant, and going to the drainage system. Somebody is taxing them for radio and TV license. Somebody is taxing them for signages. So all of those taxes have been eradicated with this bill. So it's like we have just refined the tax system as one big body, but different departments. So it means that in the different states, they are like departments under the big body. So for the impact on the SMEs is three things. Number one, you don't have multiple people knocking on your door. Number two, this tax bill, upon ascension, will help to, right now, our nano and our micro businesses. Remember I said earlier, these are the guys that are doing less than 3 million, less than 25 million. They don't pay some level of taxes. That will be increased to 50 million. It means that some level of our small businesses still won't pay taxes. Right? So what does that mean? It means that they have some more money to be more productive, to add to the cost of doing business, and to reduce the cost of doing business, and to even export or take local demand. So if the small businesses don't have multiple people knocking down their doors, if the small businesses then do not pay as much taxes as before, it's a good thing for the MSME ecosystem. So those are the kind of things that we're doing to enlighten them, to say, listen, you have members of National Assembly who are representing you there. Let them know that this is something that is a good initiative for our small businesses in the 36 states and their city. So for us, we accept it. For us, we are hoping that it can be ascended as soon as possible so that small businesses can start to enjoy this and can continue to contribute more to Nigeria's GDP.
And how would you say SMEDAN is driving down the cost of doing business and providing them access to critical resources that they need? So
for these small businesses, one of the things I've explained, if you even, logistics is the heart of e-commerce. If you want to distribute anything in Nigeria today, we have signed innovative MOUs with NIPOS, 50% discount. God is good logistics, 20% discount. If you're in the fashion, textile, and 8 other sectors that we have identified, we're providing infrastructure. You don't bother about power. You don't bother about the machines. You don't bother about maintaining machines. We provided that. We've also jumped on the presidential CNG initiative. The presidential CNG initiative has afforded our small businesses to reduce the cost of doing business. So if you're even in the transport, right, you can come to a SMEDAN complex and then get your vehicle converted for free if you're a motorist, right? And those that are interested in CNG, they can come and learn how to help convert other people's vehicles. I say to people like, GSM was to President Obasanjo, CNG is to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And CNG is the way that we can help to reduce the cost of doing business. So we provided CNG infrastructure at SMEDAN. We provided other kind of infrastructure in 8 priority sectors that we have identified that small businesses are starting business in the most. So they happen to be in agriculture. For us, is Eat Nigeria. So that whole value chain, from the farm to the dining table, we are very much present. providing our farmers with seedlings, providing our farmers with access to market, providing our farmers with the regulatory to make sure that their goods go from the market quickly to the consumer or from the farm to the market. We are very much prevalent. We're in Nigeria, like what I'm wearing today. Everyone in the fashion, garment, textile can come into the Smyrna complex. We launch in Katsina, we launch in Osun, we're launching at FCT. Can just come book a machine, sew your clothes, and go and sell.
Sorry to cut you there, just for you to expatiate on this. You're talking about you can come into a Smeden center. Now, those clusters, how close are they to the people? Somebody in the interior, probably it's in the state capital. So does he have to travel to the state capital to get access to that facility? You say he does not need to pay to bother about electricity. How?
So if you're already in an established cluster, one of the things that we do, we come there and we can support you. But if you are not in a cluster, like in Wuse Market right now, where there's some intervention that's going on with electricity and power, right? But if you're not in the Wuse Market, you can come to the Smyrna complex in Idu and then get access. You just need to book. The machine, I want to use it for a while. This machine, I want to sew for me 12 hours. You just book it at zero cost. And then you are there just doing your work. Afterwards, you want to distribute, you just come to us. In that same complex, God is Good is there to take out the thing. NIPOS is there to take out at a discounted rate. So all these things is just to help to reduce the ease of doing business, the cost of doing business, for our small business to be more productive, and by so doing, help to support Nigeria's GDP like we've been doing.
Very quickly, there have been several government policies. Take a look at the removal of fuel subsidy, the increase in electricity tariff, even the recent hike in tariff by the telecom companies. How is Smeden helping small businesses cope with the impact of this reforms?
The impact of this, we know that there are some necessary reforms that need to happen. So let's say band A, for instance, is what, 1,002. Diesel is 1,004, right? CNG is 250 naira. So one of the things that we're doing is we're helping our small businesses to embrace things like CNG, because it will help to reduce the cost of doing business. So if you're in logistics, for instance, if I want to go to Kaduna, which is about 108 kilometers from Abuja to Kaduna, if I follow my car, to take me approximately, it would cost me approximately 100,000 naira. If I've converted a car to CNG, it will cost me less than 25,000 naira, or approximately 30,000 naira, to cover the same distance. So one of the things that we've understood is that, yes, we need to go through fuel subsidy removal, but the impact on that is this, by taking the shock absorber from them, providing them with alternatives. CNG is one of the alternatives. Providing them with infrastructure. The Smyrna complex is where you can come in. It's never happened in Nigeria before. Where you come in, you just don't pay anything. You book a machinery, use the machinery, come to the woodwork factory, you don't pay anything. You book some time, produce your furniture, and then you can move your furniture to the market at discounted rates. It's never happened. And I give all the kudos to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for this initiative. Now imagine the impact in all of the 3 senatorial districts in all the states, or all the federal constituencies. We can now start to improve productivity for our small businesses. And then for local consumption and for exports, we can now see the impact that will have in Nigeria's economy.
Well, we must thank you so much for your time with us, DG Smeden, and we thank you for your contributions on the show. That's where we'll have to leave it today.
Thank you so much.
Quite an interesting conversation there. Sure. Well, brighter days for MSMEs. If you are considering starting a business, I guess you should start now.
Yeah, I'm already looking at where my own cluster will be so that I can go there for that service.
Of course. Well, we'll be taking you back to our Lagos studio where Veronica and Ibrahim is standing by.
I'm wondering if there's a cluster in Lagos where I can join. That's my own question.
Of course there is. And if there isn't one, I'm sure that the DJ will be bringing one to you.
He's listening, definitely he will get one closer to you.
Right. I'm also gunning for one. Just let us know as soon as you have the venue.
Late,
okay. Veronica, are we fighting over a slot now?
Anyway, thank you to Jesu and Esha Momo for that interview. We will quickly go on a break first of all, and when we return, we'll bring you our feature story. Stay with us.